our relationship with badgers is very complex, which I talk about in the book. You know, it's a species that's lived in our isles for about 500,000 years. It had no proper protection in the terms of royal protection, if that was the word to use, for species like deer that were basically in game birds that were given protection in certain parts of the country against poaching by landowners. It was left mostly to the rural agricultural poor to do what they wanted with it. So there was a certain level of, you know, the animal being dug out, being put into inns to fight against dogs. It's a very muscular, tough, strong animal. It can fight to the death and put up a fight like probably no other animal for its size. That went on throughout the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries. By the time we got to the Industrial Revolution, the persecution of badgers got a lot worse because colliery workers, that suddenly tens of thousands of men were working in mines up and down the country. When they did have time off, they tended to take their dogs and wanted to go out and put them down badger sets and dig them out. So it became a sort of pastime for this huge industrial workforce. This problem then, by the 20s and 30s, got such a problem in the sense that thousands of badgers were being killed, thousands of badger sets were being destroyed, that the animal was literally on the verge of extinction from certain parts of the country, South Wales, Nottinghamshire, Yorkshire, where the mining areas, but also increasingly in the southwest, where they went further afield to do this. People started to react to that. In the 50s and 60s, they came together in groups like this and set up the first badger protection groups, just by getting around the table and saying, we've got to do something. They sat on top of the badger sets to keep the baiters away. They lobbied MPs to say, listen, you've got to do something to protect the animal. In the end, by 1973, a private member's bill worked its way through Parliament in Ted Heath's government, and the animal actually did get protection. The Badger Protection Act was born, as it were. Over time, that act has become strengthened. It's not just the badger that's protected, it's the set as well. But the problem is, by 73, when it got protection under the law against baiters and persecution, the first badgers were found by Ministry of Agriculture vets that had TB. Now, TB was a problem within our cattle industry that had been largely eradicated as a result of cleaning up slaughterhouses, of pasteurising milks, and they heated it so the TB didn't get into the food supply chain. We went back to the 20s and 30s, lots of people got TB. It was a massive problem as a result of the food chain. But farmers started to react in a way where we've got this problem in our system. The government reacted, in my view, wrongly. They basically stated that this was a major risk to the food chain. It wasn't, never has been, since we've done what we did with meat and milk. But they basically said to the farmer, if you get TB in your herd, you'll have to destroy cows. That has a social economic impact, particularly for dairy farmers as they build up their herds, etc., and overestimate that. And the badger started to get the blame for the disease. The one thing we've not really learned over the years is that we can't pin down how the disease spreads between one species and another. We know that the cattle can breed the disease between themselves, just like humans, because if they're in confined damp spaces like we are in homes, you can see that TB can spread. It's no different for cattle. They're kept inside for long periods of time, damp conditions, they breathe over each other and the disease spreads. They move cattle around in this country more than anywhere else in Europe. We move millions of them with poor biosecurity controls, so again, the disease moves. We also know that the disease spills over. It spills over into deer, into cats, into dogs, into badgers, into rats. What we don't have is good evidence to show that once it's in an animal like the badger, it can move back into the cow again. But we've been led to believe by one or two poor field experiments and a lot of so-called scientific modelling by scientists that claim that they know the answer when they don't, that the badger is to blame. And then the debate is about how much of a percentage does the badger spread to the cow. There are people in this room like Tom there by the window, quite rightly in my view, that are questioning all of that fundamental science and actually saying there's nothing really that proves that at all. So the badger has been demonised, it's been blamed for a disease that it's not responsible for. And the worst aspect of it is it's almost, you can't reflect the way we demonise an animal with the way we demonise people, because there are differences. But the way humans do it is the same. So if you looked at anti-Semitism in Germany in the 1930s, the government basically started to perpetrate myths about the Jewish community, about all the terrible things they were doing in society. They then isolated them, and then they started to demonize them and attack them. In the end, started to kill them in vast numbers, as we know, in industrialized murder. In some ways, if you look at the way that the badger cull is working, it's not, you can't equate the two. One is a terrible human tragedy and a horror that should never ever happen again. But the methods sometimes being used for demonizing animals are very similar. You basically perpetrate myths about the animal. You make people fearful about the animal. So farmers and landowners are made fearful about the consequences of badgers moving around. They have disease, they spread it. And then you basically say the only consequence is to kill them. And then you start to do that as well. And that's the horror about it, because we can do it in humans and we know what the consequences are. It's disgusting and horrible, and humans are capable of those disgraceful things. But we can also do it to animals. And again, it's no better, it's horrible, it's cruel, and it's unnecessary. And there are lots of vets and lots of civil servants and lots of policymakers that know that badger culling doesn't work. They know that badger culling is not going to solve the problem of bovine TB, but they've got their careers at risk, they don't want to accept their wrong, so they keep pushing the argument, the animals keep getting killed. We're now up to 15,000 dead, we could be 100,000, 200,000 dead. To me, to lose an animal based upon a false argument on science grounds, to kill it very cruelly, to spend huge amounts of taxpayers' money, to eradicate it potentially from parts of the country where it's lived for 500,000 years, is an absolute disgrace. And that's what